The movie opens like a military thriller, but the first trap is emotional. A soldier chasing one finish line is about to run straight into the beginning of the end of the world. Before the monsters, before the invasion, before anyone understands what fell from the sky, War Machine introduces a man who already believes he failed the person who mattered most. In Afghanistan, a convoy pushes outside the safe zone with communications already unreliable and tension hanging over every mile. At a maintenance stop, two brothers reunite in the most brotherly way possible. Insults, rough jokes, and the kind of laughter that only happens when fear has been sitting too close for too long. The older brother is a combat engineer, practical and sharp, and he catches the younger one abusing the vehicles with quick fixes that only create bigger problems. That mechanical lesson becomes more important than it looks. He explains that heat and pressure have to go somewhere, and if vents get blocked, the system eventually fails. At the time, it is just a lecture about broken radiators. Later, it becomes the key to saving the planet. The younger brother is restless. He joined up dreaming about kicking down doors, not babysitting vehicles in the desert. He brings up their old promise to become Army Rangers together, a promise made when they were young enough to believe every dream could be scheduled. The older brother thinks the idea is ridiculous at first, but his brother's excitement gets to him. For a brief moment, the war disappears, and there are just two siblings imagining Black Hawks, Ranger Scrolls, and glory. Then the movie yanks that hope away. The base comes under attack, the world turns into noise and smoke, and the older brother wakes into a nightmare he cannot stop replaying. That trauma follows him into the Ranger Assessment Selection Program, where he arrives older than most candidates and carrying more than a rucksack. At RASP, every soldier is stripped down to a number, and he becomes Candidate 81. The instructors make it clear that names, comfort, and excuses are gone. The course is 8 weeks of physical punishment, mental pressure, and constant elimination, ending in a 24-hour exercise called Death March. For everyone else, the finish line is a test. For 81, it is a confession he cannot say out loud. The candidates around him quickly form a rough little ecosystem. Candidate 7 is experienced and respected. Candidate 15 is loud, funny, and always one comment away from trouble. Candidate 44 has a dry sense of humor. Candidate 60 is a tanker with attitude, and others like 57, 96, 109, and 111 fill out the squad. 81 is different. He is faster, quieter, and visibly trapped inside himself. Rumors follow him through the barracks and dining hall. The others whisper that he survived an ambush in Kandahar, carried his brother for miles, and earned a Silver Star. To them, that sounds like legend. To 81, it sounds like a wound being reopened by strangers. When 15 pushes too hard and asks if the rumors are true, 7 tries to shut it down. Instead of defending himself, 81 takes the blame for the talking and gets everyone punished. It is not exactly friendship, but it is the first hint that beneath the silence, he still protects the team. The instructors notice the same contradiction. 81 can crush the physical events, but he avoids leadership, does not sleep, and keeps everyone at arm's length. The course keeps grinding candidates down. Men are cut after runs, drills, climbs, and tactical exercises. 81 keeps surviving, but his mind keeps dragging him back to the blast. During training, sudden sounds and movement pull him into flashes of the attack. He pushes through anyway, not because he is healed, but because quitting would mean facing the thing he came here to outrun. By the final week, 81 is still standing, but the Sergeant Major and First Sergeant Torres are worried. They bring him into the office and tell him he should leave the course voluntarily. They do not question his strength. They question whether he is stable enough to lead others. His record tells the story. Instead of taking time after the worst day of his life, he applied to RASP again and again. When they ask why, all he can say is that he needs to cross the finish line. The Sergeant Major warns him that the finish line is not the end. It is the start of a responsibility. He offers 81 a quit slip, almost as a mercy. But 81 refuses. He would rather face the final parade than admit the mission that really brought him here is impossible. So the instructors make a choice that is either brilliant or cruel. They allow him to continue, but force him into the role he has avoided. When the final candidates are announced, 81 is among the few still alive in the course. Then comes Death March. The setup sounds like a realistic field problem. A classified aircraft has gone down behind enemy lines. The squad must destroy it, locate a captured pilot, evade ambushes, and return by a hard deadline. Their weapons are loaded only for simulation. Their communication is limited, and the instructors can attack them at any time. Then Torres drops the twist. Candidate 7 is no longer in charge. Candidate 81 is the team leader. The mission begins with helicopters dropping the candidates into the wilderness. For a moment, it is exactly what the brothers once imagined. Aircraft, ropes, gear, darkness, and soldiers moving toward a mission. 7 gives a short speech about sticking together, then hands the moment to 81. 81 is not inspirational. He simply tells them to follow him. They march hard through rough terrain, report their position, and push toward the supposed crash site. When 7 suggests a short rest before the likely ambush area, 81 allows 20 minutes but stays focused on the objective. 7 tries to speak with him personally, probably about the brother he knew, but 81 shuts it down immediately. He only wants mission talk. Anything human feels dangerous. Then a deep rumble tears through the night. The candidates assume it is part of the exercise, maybe artillery effects meant to scare them. Nobody yet understands that the real war has already found them. By morning, they reach the target area near a river. Something is wrong. The coordinates seem off. The compasses behave strangely. The radio picks up interference instead of a clean signal. 81 still thinks like a soldier inside a training problem, so he plans for a counter-ambush. The demo team places charges on what they believe is the wreckage, and everyone waits for the instructors to reveal themselves. The explosion goes off, but the object barely reacts. It is not an aircraft. It is not even human technology. A huge mechanical shape wakes up in the riverbank, sensors scanning, limbs unfolding, and the candidates realize too late that their blank rounds and training mindset are useless. The machine attacks with terrifying speed. The squad scatters as the riverbank becomes a disaster zone. Several candidates are lost almost immediately. Others are injured, thrown, or separated. 81 and 44 drag each other away, while 7 is badly hurt and the team loses the radio. The scene flips the movie from military selection drama into survival horror, but it keeps the same central question. Can 81 lead when people are depending on him for real? In the aftermath, the survivors hide among the rocks, trying to understand what just happened. Candidate 57 is gravely wounded, 60 is missing, and 111, who had the radio, is gone. 15 and the others are shaken, angry, and scared. The machine is not a prop, not a drill, and not something the cadre planned. It is hunting them. 81 forces himself to think clearly. They are exposed, unarmed, cut off, and carrying an injured 7. The closest help may be the instructors at the simulated village, so he orders everyone to dump useless weapons, keep medical and mobility gear, and move. 15 argues that the course is over, and he is right. But 81 sees the only option left. Carry 7, reach the village, and find help before the machine catches up. That shift matters. For the first time, the finish line is not about 81's guilt. It is about keeping somebody alive. Their escape takes them to a cliff, where they rig ropes and lower the injured down one by one. The machine follows, its heavy steps and sensors turning the descent into a silent panic. One mistake means falling. One delay means being found. 81 coordinates the movement, while 44 and the others help 7. When the machine closes in, they drop, hide, and then run again as it attacks from above. The squad survives, but barely. They finally stop long enough to treat 7's broken leg. With the morphine ruined, setting the injury is brutal, and 7 blacks out from the pain. The survivors argue about what the machine could be. Secret weapons test, foreign technology, government experiment, Every theory comes out because fear hates an empty explanation. But 81 studies the clues instead. The compasses were wrong because the machine created magnetic interference. Their actual training target, an old jet, was somewhere else. The alien object was never part of the exercise. They stumbled onto it by accident. The only practical move is still west, toward the village. The group reaches a dangerous river crossing, and 81 decides to rig a line. He swims through freezing, fast water to anchor the rope, trusting the others to manage the slack. It is a leadership moment without a speech. He takes the risk first. The team pulls 7 across with 15 helping, but the crossing turns chaotic when lines snag and the machine appears again. The survivors are swept into the rapids and over falls, scattered by the current. Somehow, 81 finds 7 and refuses to release him, still locked into the same nightmare of trying to get a wounded man across a boundary before it is too late. This time, someone reaches him. Candidate 60, thought dead, appears downstream and helps pull them out. He explains that he was swept away during the first attack and started moving west alone. He also reveals something important. He saw the actual plan in Torres' office. Death March was supposed to include controlled fireworks and traps, not a living war machine. That confirms what everyone already fears. The instructors are not secretly testing them. They're probably in danger too. The survivors climb toward the village, find tripwire flares from the cadre's perimeter, and step into a scene that tells them hope arrived too late. The training village has been wrecked. The radio relay tower is down, explaining why communication failed. They search for cadre and find that the instructors did not abandon them. They were overwhelmed. That discovery hits the squad harder than another attack. These are the people running the course, the authority figures who were supposed to control the danger. Now they are gone, and the candidates are the only ones left to carry the warning out. 81 studies the terrain and reconstructs the impossible path of the object. It came through the mountain, struck the ridge, embedded near the river, then got up and moved. 15 remembers the news reports about an interstellar object near Earth. The terrible answer settles over them. This machine did not come from any country. It came from outside this world. The squad finds one wounded sergeant, but he does not survive. That loss breaks the pressure open. 15 finally snaps at 81, accusing him of acting like a machine himself, someone who never needs rest, grief, or help. He calls him a hero, and that word detonates everything 81 has been burying. 81 tells them the legend is wrong. He did not carry his brother all the way back. He collapsed short of the perimeter. His brother was still alive, and by the time 81 woke in a hospital, his brother was gone. The medal he received was not glory to him. It was a reminder of the worst failure of his life. The confession changes the team. 81 is not cold because he feels nothing. He is cold because if he stops moving, the guilt catches him. He admits he knows everyone is hurting, but the mission has grown bigger than their fear. They need to get the armored vehicle running, get 7 back, and warn the base that something alien is coming. The squad rallies around him. Even 15, the mechanic everyone underestimated, becomes crucial. He helps diagnose the vehicle's fuel problem, reprimes the lines, and gets the old machine started. For one brief, human moment, they laugh and breathe again. 81 even cracks a joke, which shocks the others because it means the wall around him has finally started to crack. Then flares go up. The alien machine has hit the perimeter. The team loads up, scrambles for ammunition, and tries to drive out before it reaches them. 60 climbs onto the heavy gun, but at first there is no ammo ready. 15 runs back to grab it, risking himself not for attention, but because the team needs it. The vehicle roars away with the machine behind them. Bullets spark off its armor. The engine screams. The road turns into a rolling ambush as the machine fires, rams, and keeps pace. The candidates fight back, aiming for gaps in the plates, but the armored vehicle starts breaking apart under the punishment. During the chase, the machine damages them badly and the world goes sideways. 81 is thrown into another mental collapse, hearing his brother's old challenge not to quit. He survives the crash and finds himself in a quarry-like industrial area with 7 alive, but hurt nearby. The main body of the machine is damaged but not destroyed. Worse, part of it is still moving. Seven finally tells 81 what he has been trying to say since the start. He knew 81's brother. They trained together, and the brother constantly talked about becoming a ranger with him. That is why Seven recognized the tattoo and the motto. He tried to tell 81 earlier, but 81 would not let him in. For 81, the revelation is painful and freeing at the same time. Someone else remembers his brother as a living person, not just a casualty or a rumor. 81 admits he thought crossing the finish line might make the guilt quiet. Seven tells him that failing is not the same as refusing to quit. In his eyes, 81 already carries the thing the Rangers are looking for. The machine approaches again, and 81 finally connects the beginning of the movie to the end. The damaged alien is venting heat or pressure. It has a system, and systems have weak points. His brother's old vehicle problem returns as the answer. If you block a machine's ability to vent, pressure builds until the whole thing chokes. 81 leaves Seven in cover and heads into the quarry equipment. He studies the industrial crusher, the rocks, the controls, and the damaged alien vent. This is no longer about strength against strength. It is a mechanic's solution, an engineer's solution, and a brother's lesson. He lures the machine, climbs over dangerous equipment, dodges its attacks, and forces material into its venting port. The alien fights to keep functioning, alarms screaming inside its body, but the pressure has nowhere to go. 81 keeps pushing until the machine finally fails. Even then, the movie toys with one last scare as the broken thing twitches back to life, only for military helicopters and reinforcements to arrive. Rescue teams secure the area and pull the survivors out. 81 and 7 share the Ranger response they have been chasing since the beginning, but now it means something different. It is not about a badge. It is about the people who kept going beside him. The sergeant major finds 81 and asks if he is all that remains of his team. The answer hangs heavy. The base itself has taken terrible losses. Then the bigger truth arrives through news reports and military briefings. The so-called asteroids split into pods that landed all over the world, and each pod became a deadly machine. The first wave has been contained in places, but thousands more are coming. Earth is preparing for a global war. In the briefing room, commanders need to know how 81 destroyed one without real weapons. He explains the weakness simply. The venting port can be jammed like choking a radiator. His field solution becomes battlefield intelligence. Suddenly, the haunted candidate who was almost removed from the course may have given humanity its first real chance. The sergeant major admits 81 was not ready before, but tells him he is ready now. He welcomes him into the regiment and says his brother would be proud. By the end, 81 stands before Rangers preparing for Operation Global Shield, the first major counteroffensive against the machines. He does not pretend they are fearless. He knows they are hurt, exhausted, and scared. But now he understands leadership is not never feeling pain. It is moving with others anyway. He tells them Rangers fight for each other and for those who never came home. The helicopters lift, fighters escort them, and the war expands from one survival mission to the entire planet. War Machine ends with 81 no longer chasing a finish line for the dead, but carrying their memory into the fight ahead. If this recap kept you marching, leave a scroll in the comments and tell me whether you would follow 81 into Operation Global Shield. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.